Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel, Explore the Exceptional with Dr. Gross. And I'm Dr. Bob Wenzel Gross. This video is from my Reforming UFOlogy series, and it's episode 4. Episode 4 is titled UFOlogy from a Personal Perspective. This episode starts out by briefly discussing some of my personal UFOlogy-related experiences. Hopefully, this episode will also provide UFO enthusiasts and researchers with practical information about getting something published about the UFO phenomenon. But first, let's take a second to revisit my backstory. As I mentioned in an earlier episode, in 1984, I earned a doctorate of education from the Pennsylvania State University. In 1985, I began to write a children's musical play about UFOs. I wanted to base my musical play on true stories about UFO sightings in Pennsylvania because I was living in Pennsylvania at that time. So, I joined the Pennsylvania Association for the Study of the Unexplained, or PASU. I became a field investigator with PASU. In order to become a field investigator with PASU, I had to pass a background check and I had to undergo a psychological exam, just a brief one, and I passed them both. In 1987, to gain more knowledge about UFOs from my forthcoming children's musical, I attended a UFO data gathering event known as the National UFO Information Week. The event was jointly sponsored by MUFON and a Pennsylvania clearinghouse for UFO sightings, and that was PASA, the group that I belonged to. During the week-long event, I was present when 3 witnesses gave live testimony about the 1965 Kecksburg incident. And that really impressed me to hear those people talk about a UFO that allegedly landed in Kecksburg. So, in 1989, I had my own close encounter of the first kind with a UFO, and that happened in Ebensburg, Pennsylvania. Then in 1992, I left Pennsylvania to work for the government. Moving on to 2010, that's the year that I officially retired. In 2011, I was living in McAllen, Texas. I joined MUFON in McAllen, Texas, to gain access to their research tools and learn more about how they organized and reviewed UFOs, and also to learn a little bit how they studied UFOs. I have not been a member of MUFON since July 1st, 2012. In 2018, I was living in the state of Indiana. And on Saturday, September 22nd, 2018, I received a call from a best-selling award-winning author and highly acclaimed professional speaker. She recruited me to be a presenter on a UFO cruise that she was organizing. During our phone call, she asked me if I had a book to promote during the UFO cruise. And I told her that I had a book in progress, but that I did not have a literary agent. She recommended that I contact her literary agent to see if he would take me on as a client. So on or about October 2nd, 2018, I began collaborating with her literary agent. And we started collaborating through emails. And we were talking about me writing a book on the UFO phenomenon that would be successful. And although I did not ever sign an official contract with this literary agent, he really did help me on organizing my thoughts around writing a book. So at that time, my book in progress was titled UFOs, Phenomena or Propaganda. As I recall, in that particular book proposal manuscript, I discussed both the 1965 Kecksburg UFO incident and the 1947 Roswell UFO incident. So I sent the literary agent an email with my full book proposal attached. It was about 80 pages. After reviewing my proposal, the literary agent responded to me in writing, and that happened back on October 18th, 2018. And he wrote, and I'm going to read exactly from his email. You present the most convincing debunking of a major UFO event I've seen, which also provides a set of random variables that could be used to explain similar events. I thought to myself, Stephen King, move over, here I come. So then, on October 22nd, 2018, the literary agent wrote to me again through an email, and he wrote, your title is intriguing and promises objectivity that most of the gaggle of books don't even pretend to have. Your logical debunking of Kecksburg and Roswell will pierce many hearts. I've often felt that much of the noise is a deliberate beard for the international military-industrial complex. But you have hard evidence and motives to support your point of view. So then, in 2019, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, and Red Wheel Weiser started a joint publishing venture. And they started this venture in conjunction with Micro Publishing Media and the Jeff Herman Agency. That venture resulted in an imprint known as MUFON Books. So on January 30th, 2019, the literary agent sent me an email. He wrote, again, I'm reading right from the email, Bob, I'd like to try getting your book published as part of the MUFON Books program, which I'm producing. For political reasons, that may not be possible, in which case I'd like to try finding a home elsewhere for my books, not for me. So the literary agent went on to write, disrupting a rigid belief system has consequences and can create schisms. Many people literally earn their livings promoting what you debunk. Many others have staked their egos and reputations verifying these sacred events. And this is why I may have trouble getting you into the MUFON program. So then, on March 14th, 2019, the literary agent wrote me after reviewing my proposal with his new partners. He stated, and again, I'm reading right from the email, I have reviewed the proposal and chapters with my publishing partners for the MUFON Books imprint. The consensus is that you would need to exclusively focus on your alternative theory for the Roswell incident. This makes much sense since it's the most pivotal and recognized event in UFO lore. Within the context of explaining your point of view, you would be able to discuss your overall perspective about deliberate false flags and the conspiracy of confusion and disruption, while at the same time reinforcing that something real does seem to be happening. Then he goes on to write, another issue that came up was that your writing is too academic and needs to be more stylistically suitable for mass market lay readers. So I revised my book proposal based on the literary agent's recommendations, And I drafted a second book proposal as well. So now I've got 2 book proposals. My new book proposal had a tentative title of No Time Like the Present to Reform UFOlogy. So then, on Thursday, October 31st, 2019, Halloween, at 3:56 p.m., the literary agent responded to me in an email. Here again is what he wrote. Bob, I actually owe you 2 responses. With regret, neither work will fit the MUFON Books program. Basically, they are a bit dense, meaning my book proposals, and will only be appreciated by the central core of the UFO community. And that's not enough customers for a mass market model. Frankly, they are better suited for self-publishing and can be marketed through relevant social media sites, other people's blogs, and at programs. Now, I'd like to just remind you that popular mass market novels are written at a 7th grade level. So, now I think that was the last time that I ever heard from that literary agent. But as an anomalist and a researcher, I will always question why the literary agent praised my writings, but then after the literary agent became a MUFON partner, or at least a MUFON Books partner, he rejected those same written materials. That always puzzled me. So in closing, based on my experiences alone, do you think the truth about UFOs, whatever that might be, will ever be disclosed to the public by UFOlogy organizations? In the 21st century, has UFOlogy become a subset of anti-science? Thank you for visiting my YouTube channel, Explore the Exceptional with Dr. Gross. I'm Dr. Bob Wenzel Gross.